Why are we here today? Everything big starts small. I think it's pretty easy to lose track of what startups look like sort of at the beginning. I certainly remember sort of getting started. You look at these, unicorn companies and they seem unassailable and unapproachable. So anyway, we did a similar segment with Dylan Field, founder of Figma, about the early days of starting his business and pitching Figma. And we're honored to have here today Laura from Shippo, who is going to do a similar thing and sort of walk us through the early pitch of Shippo, which I've pulled up here and we're going to get through in a minute. But maybe before we get started, Laura, thank you for coming. Tell us, what is Shippo today and what has it grown into?
Yeah, thanks for having me today. I'm looking at this and our logo is different, our tagline is different, everything's different, but kind of the core is still the same. Like, our vision is to build the shipping layer of the internet. And we do that by powering merchants of all different sizes, right now mostly focused on SMBs, and power their shipping. So we connect them to a network of different shipping providers, we help them optimize, we make sure that any merchant can ship like a retail giant. We have roughly 100,000 online merchants using us. We power shipping for the likes of Squarespace, Wix, Shopify, so a bunch of big platforms and marketplaces as well. And we are, last valuation was at 1.25 billion. We're one of 8 female founded startups on the Cloud 100. So yeah, those are some of the things we're proud of. Oh, the other one, another awesome status, that as of now, we're shipping 1 million labels a day, or 1 million packages a day. So that was another awesome milestone that we surpassed with the holiday season.
Do you know what fraction of Christmas you're powering?
It's it's roughly 5% of USPS volume. That's wow. The Shippo market share right now.
So you're 5% of Santa by USPS.
I say that in my last email of the year, every year to the company, that we're literally delivering Christmas packages to our customers, or our customers' customers. But yeah, roughly 5%.
All right. Well, clearly you've come a long way, and I guess everyone here behind the scenes should be thanking you for your platform, because I presume we're all using it to get our, various scented candles and, holiday gifts and whatnot. But anyway, yeah, so back on track. So we're going to go through the old deck. Now, I guess before we get started, when did you make this deck? What year is this from?
Yeah. This is from 2014. So this was the deck I used to raise our seed round. I think our seed round ended up being 2.5 million. And when I put this deck together, it's probably a 10K committed out of the 2.5 million.
And who was your first sort of big investor in the seed round?
Oh man, I think we had a bunch of angels who joined at the beginning that were all pretty random angels. And then our big investor who led the round was, they're now called Uncork. There used to be called Softtech.
Softtech VC, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what do you think got them to invest?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the pitch, when I think about cringy things, pitching Uncork was a very cringy experience, because I brought my MacBook that I had throughout college, and it was 5 years old at that time, tried to connect it to the Apple TV at the Uncork boardroom, and it just wouldn't work. And all of the partners were sitting there staring at me, waiting for me to get started, and I could not get my presentation because my computer was too crappy. And then yeah, but what did it take for them to invest? I think it was a big market. That was one thing that always comes up. The market is very big. We had a good amount of traction at that point, or at least for our purposes at that point in time. We felt it was some traction. It was not zero. We didn't come in with 0 customers or 0 revenue. We had a little bit, and our customers were pretty happy. So I think these factors together with big market, the pie is continuously expanding, and some early traction to prove that whatever we build is working.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's tuck in. Let's go through the deck. So you sort of walk me through it as if I am at Uncorked. And so, yeah, tell me a little bit about the shipping market.
Yeah. So wait, I want to say one more thing. It's
Yeah.
like when I look at the first deck where we say we make shipping cheap and easy, I feel like at that point in time, our vision was like pretty limited and very tactical. Like right now, when we communicate our vision, we say we're building the shipping layer of the internet, which is much bigger and much more visionary. It's like it was an interesting reminder that at that point in time, it was just like those were the two value propositions that our customers responded really well to.
Do you think in
Okay.
hindsight that was the right thing to do at the time?
Oh, good question. I think like at that moment we didn't have we didn't have anything better, or like we're just laser focused on these two areas because this is really what resonated, the easy part and the cheap part. I think we could have done a better job explaining how big this can be. But I think we kind of confused like customer value prop with the value prop to communicate to investors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the shipping market, like most people and like VCs in particular, don't really understand the shipping market. So the few things to know about our business are that we've got a few large shipping providers and they are very expensive to use. But if you are someone like Amazon or Target, you can come in and get discounts. So the big guys, they get volume discounts that are up to 95% off. And then everyone who's not the Amazon or the Target, like the scented candle store, they're paying like retail prices.
Yeah.
And then we've got a whole lot of small and regional shipping providers. They are much lower cost, but most of our customers, those like scented candle companies, don't really know how to access them. So the shipping market is pretty difficult and opaque to access for our target audience and expensive. And then let's see, what does the next slide say? So, okay, so I mean, if I look at this, it's like first we talk about the problem and then the solution. So like the solution is that we're building a tool here. We called it Shippo, and we aggregate volume from all of our SMB customers. And by aggregating that volume, we're able to like get the kinds of volume discounts that Amazon does. And then we're able to pass on those discounts to our customers and help them participate in the savings, help them be competitive. And then we like part of the business model is that we're able to then take a cut of the discounts that we pass on as well. And then at the same time, so that's the cheap part. The easy part is that most of the shipping providers, their technology is very clunky. They're not tech companies. And we're like building a company, like at that point in time, Stripe was already a thing, Twilio was a thing as well. Like we're building an API first company, our customers can connect to our API. And then we also, like it's very developer friendly. And we have a dashboard on top of the API for anyone who wants a no-code solution.
Got it.
Yeah, and then kind of in short, to sum that up, we give our online merchants the shipping backend of Amazon, but we make it even simpler. Okay, let's see. Ooh, this is a very wordy slide. I think the only thing I wanted to like convey here that like is that Shippo is mostly is almost like a two-sided marketplace. Like on the one hand, we have the shipping providers. On the other hand, we have the online businesses, and we connect these two like supply and demand with each other. And we become over time the distribution channels for distribution channel for shipping providers. So that's also one of the reasons why the carriers want to work with us. And over time, we can even get to a point where we make capacity management for the shipping providers more efficient. And here I should add, we're still like in the process. We haven't gotten to the capacity management part yet. Like that is still something we're working on. But like the hypothesis is just the more packages we ship, the more like we can do capacity management or load balancing over time. Okay.
So here you got an ITA metaphor.
Yes. And I actually don't think it's entirely accurate. But I mean, for people who don't know what that is, it's like, you know, the backend that powers Expedia or Orbitz or any of those, where you can get dynamic pricing for the different shipping providers, not for the airline industry. And you know that depending on when you buy a ticket, you might get a cheaper one or a more expensive one. It's all based on capacity management as well. And our goal is to become that load balancer for the shipping industry and enable dynamic pricing here as well. And yeah, I mean, as I said, we're still working on that. Competition.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think we have
You
like
basically had done, I think, like.
at that point in time, I think we're mostly competing against a legacy competitor called Stamps. Actually, don't know why they're not mentioned here. But yeah, we had kind of what authorized.net is to Stripe. We have that in our industry as well. It's called Stamps. We have another one called Pitney Bowes. And then we also compete against like the in-house APIs that are built by the shipping providers. But yeah, I think wow, this is again a very wordy slide. Okay, customer pipeline. We had a bunch of customers at that time. We had like real customers using us through Shopify. We had a partnership with PayPal, and then a pipeline. Like as I look at this, it's mostly like in hindsight, like a bunch of these were wishful thinking. Like the pipeline did not entirely work out the way we expected. But yeah, if you go to the next slide, we have real customer data of this is real revenue that we had at that point in time. And yeah, so we had paying customers that like $15,000 in revenue this week and 45% week over week growth. At that point in time, like revenue for us was gross, not net. And then we were a very popular app on Shopify. We still are. And then we also had like a pipeline to show where we had customer commitments throughout the end of the year. And yeah, a rough estimate of how many packages we think we're going to ship in 2014.
So that was your gross number. And so you're with a take rate of 20%, you're making like 150K on an annualized basis.
Yep.
At that point.
And I think like that was something we're pretty proud of, just the fact that we had customers already. They're all coming in from this Shopify app that we built.
Say more about the Shopify app. Like, how did you get early traction?
Yeah, so we connected our dashboard with Shopify. Shopify has an app store where you can just build towards their app store. Your app has to be approved, and then you can kind of growth hack the Shopify app store, get customer reviews, rank highly in the app store. And at that point in time, the app store was still pretty nascent, so there's not a ton of competition there. And I was doing customer support myself, where I would ask for customer reviews for us to like start trending, and that was where all of our customers were coming from early on. So we actually didn't have a ton of like direct API integrations, and our like one customer acquisition channel that really worked and was like scalable was Shopify. What's this? I think we're going a little bit too much into detail here, but like we'd like figured out a partnership with the USPS at that point in time, and it's just explaining kind of the kinds of margins that we can get. Like the whole the like thinking behind this is just that at the post office you have to pay retail rates. We get the economies of scale and discounted rates, and then we can resell it for higher than our cost, and still our customers are still better off. Yeah. And yeah, a bunch of customer reviews from real customers. Those were also the customer reviews that were on Shopify. And yeah, next one, let's see. Yeah, that's some details about the round that we're trying to raise. Yeah, as I mentioned, like a bunch of really random angels. There's like a Japanese angel investor, German angel investor, and we're still trying to close that seed round.
And when people said no at this point, what was sort of the reasons why they would say no?
Yeah, I think, let's see. I got a lot of no's around, oh man, I'm trying to block all of that out. I think a lot of investors didn't quite get it. Like it wasn't a problem that they were facing every day themselves. And yeah, I think that was a big one that was kind of the underlying trend. A lot of investors wanted us to try shipping for some of their portfolio companies and didn't quite understand that we were like an SMB centric business and their portfolio companies were too large for us at that point in time. So yeah, I think there was that sort of mismatch. At that point in time, we had a like company in our space called Ship with a Y. They did like pickups right at home for you, and investors loved them because they were the ones too lazy to go to like the USPS store and wanting someone to like pick it up with a white glove service, while we were focused on kind of more of a like self-shipper experience.
It's interesting that when you talk about the failures, it's basically a lot of anecdotal sort of data points that don't match up with what the business needs. Is that sort of right? Like, I don't use it, my companies can't use it. So this sort of anecdotally irrelevant, but still important.
Yeah. And I think people weren't getting very excited about like shipping as a problem.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of pre, everyone being aware of supply chain crises and these kinds of things. Yeah, shipping was not a super sexy problem to solve.
Yeah. How did you do on these milestones?
Let's see. So I'll say a few things. Like, I don't think the PayPal partnership that we referenced earlier worked out in any way for us. So, I mean, we kind of partnered with them, but it drove almost no revenue and it spun us in circles for a while. So the PayPal partnership was not super fruitful. When I look at those logos, like I recognize them, but I don't think any of them turned into lucrative customers for us either. You mentioned a bunch of logos on there that were like venture-backed companies that investors would understand and would recognize. But a lot of our like top customers are just like, honestly, those scented candle stores that no one knows. And like, they're not venture-backed and no one has heard of them. They're not sexy customers to reference. Those milestones, if you click on those again, I think we did ship 1.5 million packages in 2014. It's like, in terms of shipping volume, that turned out well. Those other, like number 3, that was not a priority after all. And then number 4, actually don't even know what that means in each market. Like, we were in the US, and yeah, we had a few partnerships in the US that were actually very important for us to grow as a business. USPS was one, but then we signed a bunch of them afterwards as well.
You talk a little bit about in this deck, in this particular slide, about expanding internationally. Like, was that a priority?
We only started expanding internationally last year. So I think we underestimated how much of an effort it would be to like first really become established in the US, build a brand here. Like, our business is all about economies of scale. So it doesn't make sense to spread ourselves too thin. It makes sense to really like get a whole lot of volume and market share in the US first. Yeah,
America's pretty deep and big. All right. Awesome. Wait, and then final slide. Great.
Yes. That's the most professional photo I had in 2014. Yeah.
All right. This is awesome. Now, having sort of gone through this, what are sort of the main deviations from this deck that you feel like you went through?
Yeah, the main deviations.
Like, clearly you mentioned international, obviously. That's sort of a common trope, but turns out America's huge.
Yeah, turns out America is huge. I think the main deviations were, let's see, there are a lot. I feel like there are a bunch of like things we mentioned in there that are like pretty, where we're trying to make our business more interesting, such as capacity management and dynamic pricing and all of that sort of stuff. And it does make our business sound more interesting, but it's actually not what is most necessary or most desired from our customers on day one. And we're actually just right now working on dynamic pricing with one of our carrier partners. But unless you have enough volume, that is really not what our, like, it's not going to help anyone. And then I think the other thing is, if you were to ask a customer, like, do you want dynamic pricing? Most customers like it's not top of their list on
Yeah.
like shipping related problems to solve. So I think we were overthinking it from the perspective of like what would get investors excited, and not as much presenting what our customers were actually looking for. And our customers were looking for just like next after shipping, they want tracking, they want returns. Aside from USPS, they want FedEx and UPS, just a whole lot of that like groundwork that needed to be done. I find it interesting that like in the first deck, we already mentioned partnerships like with, I don't know, PayPal and so on. Like, I think it was a very bad idea as a startup at that stage to try to figure out a partnership with a partner of that size. It fizzled out and is really a waste of time. Right now, we're partnering with the big guys like, I don't know, Squarespace, Wix, and Shopify. And we do it much more successfully, but even at our stage right now, it takes a lot of like discipline to not get distracted. And they're still trying to like pull their weight as being significantly bigger than us. So I think that was a complete waste of time at that point.
It's good summary, and I think speaks to the heart of what a lot of people are doing now.